Her fingers were already inside the pocket before she noticed. They moved slowly, searching for nothing in particular, brushing against the lining of her coat as she sat on the park bench. The afternoon light rested gently on her shoulders. Leaves shifted somewhere above her, but not loudly. The air felt still enough to hold. Her fingertips touched metal. She paused, though her face did not change. She closed her hand around it and drew it out without looking at it first. The old key lay across her palm, small and dull, its edges worn smooth from years of being carried more than used. She turned it once, then again. The motion was absent-minded, almost rhythmic. The key made no sound. It simply rested in her hand as if it had always been there. She did not remember putting it in this coat. Her thumb traced the grooves along its side. The pattern felt familiar, not in a sharp way, but in the way certain smells feel familiar before a name arrives. She looked at it now, really looked at it, as though it might offer something if she waited long enough. Nothing changed. The park remained as it was. A distant footstep passed behind her. A bird lifted and settled again. The key stayed quiet in her palm. She shifted slightly on the bench and held it up toward the light. The metal caught a thin line of brightness, then dulled again when her hand lowered. It seemed important for a moment. Not urgent. Not dramatic. Just important in a way she could not place. Her fingers tightened around it once more, as if to keep something from slipping away. Then she loosened her grip. The key rested there, unchanged, while something just beyond reach hovered and almost formed. She began carrying the key differently after that afternoon. Not in a pocket anymore. She slipped it into the smaller compartment inside her coat, the one that required a deliberate motion to reach. Each time she put the coat on, her fingers checked for it. Not urgently, just to be certain it was still there. The park became part of her routine. She chose the same bench without appearing to choose it, sat at nearly the same hour. The light shifted from gold to pale as the days passed, but she arrived with the same quiet steadiness. Before settling fully, her hand would drift inward, brushing the inside seam, confirming the small weight of metal. Sometimes she took it out immediately. Sometimes she waited. She held it loosely between her thumb and index finger, letting it hang for a second before laying it flat against her palm. The grooves faced upward, as if they were meant to be studied. Her eyes traced their shape again and again, searching for recognition that almost surfaced. It never fully did. The familiarity deepened without becoming clearer. It was like hearing the first few notes of a song and knowing the rest exists somewhere, but not being able to continue it. On certain afternoons, she pressed the key against the wooden slat beside her, as though testing whether it belonged there. The wood did not respond. The key did not either. She would lift it again, brushing away nothing at all. Time moved quietly around her. People crossed the path. Leaves gathered and were blown aside. The light thinned earlier than before. Each small change felt noticeable, yet distant. The key remained the same weight in her hand. She began turning it more slowly now. Not out of habit, but out of care. The motion had become deliberate, as if rushing might disturb whatever hovered just behind her thoughts. Sometimes her breath would pause without her realizing. The shape of something almost formed, then softened, then slipped away again, leaving only the metal resting against her skin. One afternoon, she did not take the key out right away. Her hand found it inside the coat, as it always did, but this time she kept it there. Her fingers closed around the metal and stayed still. The bench felt slightly cooler beneath her. The air carried a faint shift. Not colder, just thinner. She sat like that for a long moment. Then she withdrew her hand. Empty. The key remained in the pocket. Her eyes followed a slow-moving shadow across the ground. It stretched, thinned, and disappeared beneath the bench. She watched it as if it required her attention, as if something about it needed to be memorized. Eventually, her hand returned to the pocket. She brought the key out carefully, almost cautiously, and laid it flat on her open palm. She did not turn it this time. She only looked. The groove seemed deeper than before. Or perhaps her gaze lingered longer. A faint tightening passed through her shoulders. Not pain, not discomfort, just a slight holding back. She shifted on the bench and glanced toward the path behind her, though no one had called her name. The key rested there, unchanging. She pressed her thumb along its ridges once, then stopped midway, as if the motion had reached something fragile. Her breathing became shallow for a second, then steadied again. There was a sense of standing near a doorway. Not a real doorway, just the feeling of one. Something waited on the other side of that feeling, almost within reach. A hallway, perhaps. A hand on a doorknob. A sound in another room. The impression flickered without forming into an image. Her fingers curled inward slowly, covering the key from view. She held it there, concealed inside her fist, as though shielding it from the air. The park continued its quiet rhythm around her. After a while, she opened her hand again. The key lay exactly as before. The next time she came to the park, she did not reach for the key at all. She sat down first, adjusted her coat, placed both hands on her lap as if they belonged there. The bench felt familiar beneath her, steady and unremarkable. The afternoon light settled across her knees. For a while, her fingers remained still. The pocket held its quiet shape against her side. A breeze passed through the trees, softer than before. It lifted a few strands of her hair and then let them fall. She watched the movement of leaves without following any single one. Only after some time did her hand drift inward. Not searching, just resting. Her fingertips brushed the edge of the key and stopped. She did not curl her hand around it. She left it where it was, feeling its outline through the fabric. The metal was cool, but less startling now. She kept her hand there, lightly pressed against the pocket, as if acknowledging something without inviting it closer. The shape of that almost memory hovered again. Not sharp enough to hurt. Not clear enough to hold. It felt smaller this time. Thinner. Like a reflection on water that disappears when looked at directly. She let her hand fall back to her lap. The key remained inside the coat. A faint exhale left her chest, though nothing had been spoken. Her shoulders lowered a fraction, as if releasing a weight too subtle to measure. Around her, the park continued unchanged. Footsteps crossed the path. A distant laugh rose and faded. The light shifted toward evening, touching the bench in narrow bands before sliding away. She did not try to bring the key out. She did not test its grooves with her thumb. She simply sat, feeling the empty space where the memory had almost formed. After a while, she stood. The coat moved with her. The key rested where it always had. Whatever had nearly returned seemed to dissolve quietly, leaving no trace except the steady weight against her side. Not every memory is clear, but some never leave. They remain quietly, waiting for an ordinary moment to return. If this story brought something back, it has done enough.